On the banks of the Mississippi River, welcome to Saturday night in St. Louis. Busch Stadium packed to the gills once again. Crowd moving on in as the Rockies get ready to take on the Cardinals in the second game of a three-game set. The Rockies fell last night 5-1. And we welcome you upstairs. Glad you're along, everybody. It's a beautiful fall night here in St. Louis with my partner, George Frazier. I'm Drew Goodman. The Rockies this evening will send Franklin Morales to the hill. He's coming off a very good start. And Shelby Miller, young right-hander, will go for St. Louis. And we all remember what he did a year ago against the Rockies.
Yeah, no question about what he did here and what he's done in the past. 4 for 23, just one RBI given up against players in a Rockies uniform. 9-9 overall, 383. Frankie 6-7. All 6 of his wins coming from the National League West, where he's pitched extremely well. Frankie last start, well, he had very good command of 3 pitches, particularly the cutter down and away. He got a lot of chase, swing, and misses. You got the high fastball, able to throw the ball by people. 6 innings in that ball game, and a bunch of strikeouts for Frankie. And Shelby Miller, Drew, is one of those guys that's come into his own. He is 9-9 right now and pitching very well at the right time for this Cardinal ball club with a fastball.
Well, he has a great fastball, and his curveball is utilizing a lot more, and he's been a much better and more effective pitcher in the second half. He has the explosive fastball, George, but now you can't just sit on it because he's throwing his curveball about a third of the amount of time.
And that's all with the development of a player. He was so good with his fastball, mid-90s and above. Velocity backs up, you start to learn the breaking ball, you take advantage of the changeup, and he's taking advantage of the opposition.
Well, let's give you an update on Justin Morneau. He had to leave the ball game midstream last night with an intercostal strain. It's been bothering him a little bit in BP. He's not in the starting lineup tonight. Walt hopes it's not going to be a long type of process to get him back on the field.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to be, and it's just one of those irritating things that you don't let get into a major problem. But as you look at the batting rate, second right now, which is a big move because Justin just 3 points behind. And the way he swung the bat of late, you never know, he might throw out 3 hits tonight and be in first tomorrow morning.
Absolutely. So we continue to set the stage for first pitch tonight. There's a great place to hang out now outside the stadium. Baseball Village here in St. Louis. Mark Stout is over there. We'll check in with him next.
St. Louis. It's always spectacular when you get to play baseball at Busch Stadium. And let's tell you a little bit about this yard. This is Busch Stadium number 3, smack dab in the middle of downtown St. Louis. And it was built in 2006, holds more than 43,000 pretty much night in and night out. You can see the arch, of course. It's got 365 views of downtown. Favorites, the Stan the Man statue and the Clydesdales, which you can catch on opening day. Another great part of Busch Stadium is this brand new ballpark village. This just opened up in April of this year. I am about 800 feet from home plate, and below me is the Cardinals' new Hall of Fame and Museum. And throughout tonight, I'll show you some of the history of this storied franchise. We'll go into that Hall of Fame museum, show you some of the exhibits they had, and I'll bring you some of the color up here from what is sort of like the rooftop in Denver and Wrigley. In fact, we got a 50th birthday here. We got a bride-to-be up top. It's going to be sensational. So let's go back to Jeff and Jenny in Denver as everybody says hello. Say hello to Denver, yes.
Hi, Steph. Becky says hi. Where's your camera? Behind you? Who knows where?
Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by your neighborhood Toyota stores. Toyota, let's go places. By Inova Cancer Care, taking a novel approach to cancer care. Learn more about prostate cancer treatment at InovaCC.com. And by Southwest Airlines. Without a heart, it's just a machine. Blue skies abound here in St. Louis. There is a chill in the air. A whole bunch of folks still clad in red trying to make their way in. Last night, a sellout crowd of more than 45,000, and the same is expected tonight. In fact, on my early morning run, once again, there was a line, George, wrapped around the block early this morning trying to get single tickets for this evening's affair.
Well, it's not unusual in this ballpark to see that happening, or in this state, I should say, because it is a Cardinal country which spans all the way into Mississippi, Louisiana. You got Illinois. You've got everybody coming from Oklahoma, Missouri that come in and watch these games from all over.
It is a regional team, as we always talk about the Rockies being a regional team. Charlie will lead things off. Here's the rest of the Rockies lineup. It's written out this afternoon by Walt Weiss and presented by Southwest Airlines. Michael Kadire will bat second. Then Corey Dickerson will be in the 3 spot, normally occupied by Justin Morneau. Nolan Arenado, Ben Paulson will start at first for Morneau. Willeen Rosario, Josh Rutledge, DJ LeMahieu, and Franklin Morales. Rutledge swinging the bat well. Charlie Blackmon, we should mention, also swinging the bat very well in his career against St. Louis. On the hill for the Cardinals, we chatted about him a few moments ago, the 23-year-old Texan Shelby Miller with the big arm. And his number is brought to you by Inova Cancer Care, non-surgical treatment of prostate cancer. Visit InovaCC.com.
71 walks on the year and 166 2/3. Be patient, make him throw strikes. If you look at his overall numbers, that third time through the lineup, the opposition starts to get after him. 184 first time, 271, and then on up after that. His last 3 starts, though, has been rather special. He's 1-0, 086. The club's 2-1 over that span, but he's in 21 innings, 2 earned runs given up.
Well, last year, this was one of the most dominating performances we've ever seen. The first guy up was Eric Young Jr. He had a bloop single and would steal second. And it was perfect from there on out for Shelby Miller. He retired the next 27 hitters for a 1-hit complete game shutout. He struck out 13, and it was the fastball all day long.
Very good command in the bottom half of the zone with his fastball.
And that's what he did in that start against the Rockies. He was in the bottom of the zone with the heater. And he starts out Charlie, and it's 0-1. He averages almost 94 miles an hour with the fastball. That's one of the things that's been the difference maker for him in the second half. He's throwing the curveball with much greater frequency.
Well, he's establishing it early in the ball game, too. I think that's one of the things you have to look at from him, because he doesn't do it late. You know, where he doesn't try to just get by fastball only, then you'll see him take the work of working through the ball game and utilizing everything. And a lot of that's Yadier Molina behind the plate.
Well, it's almost 3/4 of a run a difference that Yadier makes with the staff when he's back there versus anybody else. That's quite a bit.
9-4 since he's come off the DL. 12 games over total for the season. Without Yadier behind the plate, still a very good team. 2 games over 500.
2-strike count on Blackmon. 1-2. .65 degrees game time temperature. And now it's 2-2. Not much of a win.
No, the weatherman says 5 miles an hour in, which is no win.
This is on the ground to third. Matt Carpenter across to Matt Adams. Let's take a look more closely at the gloves for St. Louis this evening. They've been a very solid defensive club this year. And that's pretty typical of the Cardinals. Good pitching, good defense. And their gloves brought to you by Excel Energy. Visit responsiblebynature.com to learn more. Matt Holliday, John Jays in center. He's played a good center field this year. Randall Grichuk, we talked about last night. He can throw and right. Peralta's been above average and a pleasant surprise defensively coming over to the National League. Pete Kozma, a guy, George, you know well, is at second. He's a shortstop by trade. He's got good hands.
Very good hands and has hit well. 364 in September, but he was hitting 384 for the month of September in AAA, and a base hit by Michael Kadire right back up the middle.
So Cuddy held hitless last night as you look at John Jay with a single. And that'll bring up Corey Dickerson. Corey at 309. He had a couple of the hits for the Rockies last night. They had 8 in the ball game. 2 came in the 9th inning. Between the 4th and the 9th, they didn't get a hit until the 9th. They had 16 straight retired by Adam Wainwright, who improved to 18-9 as the Cardinals cruised 5-1. Dickerson swung it well against the Cardinals, 353 in his young career.
Well, they always say that the league will figure you out and try to attack as much as they can of your weaknesses. They haven't figured Corey Dickerson out yet.
I think part of it is, George, wouldn't you agree? I mean, because he can hit such a variety of pitches, and some aren't even strikes.
It's a lot of pitches down low in the zone. This will be a soft, broken bat fly ball to Kozma for out number 2.
2 gone, and that'll bring up Nolan Arenado. Nolan last night was 1 for 4. He was an RBI double in his second at bat, which produced the Rockies' first run at that point in time in 21 innings. Unfortunately, now they've gone 6 straight innings without scoring after that.
Yeah, line drive right off of the wall. Holliday played it well, but Charlie able to come in and score. Nolan floated into second.
1 run their last 28 innings. And this is pop foul. Yadier is going to give it a cursory look, but it's well out of play. Rockies so far on this trip, they're 0-4. They were swept in New York. They've hit 200. They have 3 runs on the trip, and 2 came via solo home runs. Michael Kadire, who's at first, and then Nolan Arenado. That was in that first game in the Big Apple.
You know, Walt's as mystified as anybody about the lack of offense on the road, particularly this road trip. He was asked a question about manufacturing runs, playing small ball. Not going to play small ball with guys like Kadire, Nolan, Wallin. And you know, and he said, I'm not going to have them start bunting and running and hitting behind guys and hitting and running all the time to try to create offense. You can't do that to players of that stature.
No, it's not who they are. And on top of it, you have to have some base runners first to even try to manufacture a run. And
if you don't steal first, you can't steal second.
It's been said before, right?
Got to get to that first one.
0-1 on Nolan. That just missed. Home plate umpire tonight is the veteran Mark Carlson. Jeff Nelson, the crew chiefs, at first. Pat Hoberg's at second, and Scott Barry is at third. Well, the Rockies have been in these games with the Mets, and for the most part last night with St. Louis, because they've pitched well. 306 earned run average on this trip. That misses, and the opposition has hit just 211.
Well, on the Ford strike zone, neither one of those pitches missed, but call balls.
Yeah, and that's if you're Shelby Miller, that's alarming. But if you're Franklin Morales, you want to take advantage of that also. And you're right, George. All 3 of those pitches touch the strike zone, but it's a 2-1 count. And this is popped up on the right side. Easy play for Pete Kozma. So the Rockies will leave Kadire at first. We'll see Franklin Morales upon our return to St. Louis. Let's take a look at the St. Louis Cardinals lineup against Franklin Morales tonight. Matt Carpenter getting some stick-em on that bat. He's been on base at a .374 clip. That's top 10 in the National League. He'll be followed in Mike Matheny's lineup by Randall Grichuk, the rookie. Matt Holliday with the 3-run home run in the first will bat third. Johnny Peralta, Matt Adams, who pinch hit and was intentionally walked last night. Yadier Molina, John J. Pete Cosma, and then Shelby Miller. That lineup brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Frankie's numbers are brought to you by Inova Cancer Care. Non-surgical treatment of prostate cancer. Visit InovaCC.com.
Home runs had been a problem early in the year for Frankie, but not of late. 18 innings, no home runs given up, 6 earned over those 3 starts with only 18 hits. So he'll try to handle the St. Louis Cardinals, who he's 0-1 in his career against St. Louis. Mentioned in the open, all 6 of his wins have come against the National League West, where he's 6-0 with a 3.41 earned run average.
Yeah, the other side of it is you talked about 0-7 with an 8.13 against everybody else. That's a fascinating split. Trying to get the first victory against a team outside the NL West tonight here in St. Louis. Carpenter takes a pitch that this was just off the plate. Looks like a tight zone for Mark Carlson tonight. Postage stamp, huh?
Yeah, typically not that way with him. That ball's a little bit off the edge of the plate. Squeeze Miller more, but we haven't seen enough pitches from Frankie yet.
That's in there, and it's not called a strike. 1-1. Or excuse me, it should be 1-1, but it's 2-0.
What was wrong with that one? That's where, when Lane's got to turn around. Where was that? Yeah, I thought it was a little high, a little in. Okay.
It was neither. Thank goodness that was called a strike. 2-1. And 2-2. Cardinals have won 6 in a row at home. 11 straight home games in September, dating back to last year, September/October. They remain 2.5 up in the NL Central. Left field line and out of play. They're 4 games above Milwaukee, 2.5 above the Pirates. Both of those clubs won last night. Milwaukee had been playing horrendous baseball for age. They've now won 3 straight, and the Pirates have caught fire.
Well, and it's probably just maybe a little too late for Milwaukee to get hot, because if we start to look at the wild card, there's 3 back and now 3 teams back.
And now it's a full count on Carpenter. The National League standings are brought to you by DirecTV. Let's give you a glance at the playoff picture. The Nationals have pretty much wrapped up the NL East. I think we can concede that. Good race in the Central, and a great race out west where the Rockies reside. The Dodgers and Giants. And the Giants won last night, so they're within a game. One behind Madison Bumgarner, and they got 4 on Ryu early in that baseball game yesterday.
That's the difficult side of it. Once you give Bumgarner that kind of lead in a ball game, he's not going to relinquish it at all. It's St. Louis, the National League champions. They expect to win. They know how to win.
And this ball in the air to center field. Blackman moving his feet. He'll have it. And Carpenter is retired. Let's take a look at the Rockies defensively tonight. Brought to you by Excel Energy. Dickerson's in left, Blackman in center, and Kadires in right. Arenado, Rutledge, LeMahieu, Paulson in the infield, Rosario behind the plate. Here's an interesting stat on DJ LeMahieu and why we believe, and I believe this objectively, that he should be the National League Gold Glove winner at second base. Arenado ought to win his second in a row also. There's a defensive metric called defensive runs saved. This year, DJ, according to that metric, has saved 19 runs. And you say, okay, well, who's next? Next is Brandon Phillips, who's an extraordinary defensive player. He's won a bunch of Gold Gloves. 4 runs saved. So
wow,
that's a significant difference.
Yeah, big number on that. That's for sure. We need to come up with a stat, Drew, like, see, use all of our initials for something.
We can work on that.
Dougie, will you go to work on that? You can be a part of it, and then we'll sell it.
2-0 on Randall Grichuk. And it's 3-0 on Grichuk. Grichuk hit a bunch of home runs in the minor leagues this year, 25 of them. At 259. And he has hit his first big league home run as well already. That ball's pretty well hit. Dickerson will make the play. Boy, the crowd all stood. 45,000 plus.
And all it was a loud out.
Well, here's Matt Holliday. And Matt, against Jorge De La Rosa, won this battle in the first inning. A 3-run home run. That's really all St. Louis would need. That ball traveled 467 feet, which is the second longest at Busch Stadium, which has now been open 9 years, this version of Busch Stadium. Here's something else about that home run. It had an exit speed off the bat. Hey, I tell you, right? They have stats for everything. 110 plus miles an hour, which is the second hardest hit home run in this ballpark to win Albert. This ball's to dead center field. Hold on. This one is gone. Holliday's caught fire. That's his 18th home run. Fortunately, nobody else was on. It's 1-0 St. Louis. That one looked like it had an exit speed of about 110 also.
So who's holding the radar gun out in the outfield to measure all that?
All your buddies with the guns behind home plate.
So. I don't think they register all that behind home plate. Well, I like Michael Kadyr's comment about Matt Holliday after he hit the home run last night. He looked to get a cutter here in the middle of the plate from Franklin Morales, and it just continued to carry into dead center field over the head of Charlie Blackmon and onto the grass area. As that ball cut to the middle on Matt Holliday. He thought he got it, but he didn't know how good he got it. Kadyr's comment after the home run last night in the Big Mac land was he goes, well, he should hit it that far. He's the biggest kid on the field getting to play.
Right? Matt looks like an NFL Mike linebacker. I've told this story before about him. There's this, and everything was on time here, George.
Well, everything completely on time. With the leg down, the swing.
They test hand strength. This is going to be a base hit for Peralta. And they have this challenge where you have to dig in the bucket of rice to the bottom. He has the best time. This was a few years ago. He was still a Rocky, and he had the strongest hands in baseball. And again, this is a league of very strong men.
The only other guy I knew to get to the bottom of the 50-gallon rice barrel was Steve Carlton, and he did it on a regular basis.
Matt Adams, who had a 3-run home run against Frankie earlier this year in Denver, takes a strike. His splits against lefties are not good. Good numbers against the Rockies, but against lefties, he's a 191 hitter this year. So Mike Matheny's careful as to which lefties he plays against. Did not start against De La Rosa last night. That's off his foot. Hurt his foot and broke his back. Double whammy.
Not good. 62-22. That's what the Cardinals are when they score first in a ball game.
Well, the Ford Strike Zone is powered by Ford cars, big MPG, smart technology, and unsurpassed quality. See what happens when fun meets the road. Ford, go further. Here's the 0-2.
A lot of times when you foul a ball off your foot, the pitcher will come right back in under your hands again because you're a little hesitant about having it happen again. There's the numbers Drew talked about, the big, huge splits for Adams.
And the 0-2's fouled off by Adams. Dougie just handed me a note, and I'll let you read it, George. There you go.
Doug, just stick to numbers.
Right?
It's part of that Dayton education he got. Right, Doug?
What he wrote,
Doug.
what he wrote, don't get too creative, right? Stay within your boundaries. He wrote splitting the Adams.
Right. Another one.
Very, very clever. That is foul, and another bat gone for Adams. This has become a costly AB.
And the bat boy says, all right, look, dude, this is the last bat I got, all right? I'm not running all the way back. Either hit it or strike out or do something with it. I can't go back to the clubhouse that fast. Most big leaguers bring out 3 to 4 bats with them. A lot of different weights, different lengths for different pitchers. But when you look like Grizzly Adams, you probably swing the same big lumber.
Now Doug's
Did you like that, Dougie? You like that a little better, the Grizzly Adams part? You're like, I got a little fist pump out of Dougie on that one.
He's upset because he's gonna hand us that note next. Another 0-2. That's
where is that?
Rosario kind of holding it. I guess it was a smidgen off the plate. 1-2.
Yeah, I'm not sure where this or how you took this pitch more than anything. Rosario held that for quite some time.
You know this, George. You pitched in the big leagues a long, long time. When hitters are unsure and they're holding their breath, they always look down right away, kick some dirt, make it look like, yeah, that ball's not a strike. But had Adams gotten rung up, he would have just walked off. There would have been no argument.
No, wouldn't have said one word. He probably looked back and said thank you.
Maybe under his breath.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Peralta at first, and he's going to draw a throw. Frankie has 5 errors, and Ricky Horton, our counterpart on the St. Louis side, former big league pitcher, said, man, 5 errors, that's a bunch, and most of them have been on pickoff attempts.
Exactly, where he gets a little indecisive, the hand drops too much.
This is going to be a large volume inning in terms of pitches because of Carpenter and Adams fouling off so many. The next delivery will be number 28.
You always have that kind of number in your mind, 17, 18, if you're a contact guy, 21 strikeout. And you're well above that right now.
The league average is right around 17, 17.1 to George's point. Not a complete shift on, but Rutledge is right up the middle. Finally a ball in play. Shallow left. Dickerson coming on. He's got it. In the inning, Matt Holliday goes deep once again, this time to center field. 23rd home run allowed by Morales.
Lead, guess who? Matt Holliday with a home run as we go to the top of the second. I am out of the ballpark village. What's your name?
Jenny.
Jenny's daughter Dana is getting married on November the 8th.
On home plate.
She's getting married on home plate, Drew and George. So I think we have 1 or 2 bridal parties up here. What do you guys call this area? The
Ballpark
rooftop?
Village, AT&T rooftop.
Okay, so we're on what's their rooftop now. This is brand new as of this season. 50th birthday party down there. We've got some guys up top that are co-workers. One guy's in from Minneapolis. So this is the new party spot for the St. Louis Cardinal fans. So congratulations to Dana.
Thank you so much. Woo, go Cards!
It's that kind of night, guys.
And the sun is shining over there still. You have the last sliver in the ballpark, Mark.
Yeah, I can see they're setting to the west. It's a beautiful night.
Most of the time it does set in west.
Yeah. I don't know where you've been, but
Yeah, I had to look for the mountains like in Colorado.
Well, they're not here.
Yeah.
just want to make sure you haven't enjoyed, some of the refreshments up there, Mark, with that last comment.
No, I have not. Not
You yogied us. You yogied us.
I did yogi.
All right, Mark, we'll check with you in a little bit. Enjoy the sun. 1-0 St. Louis on the home run by Matt Holliday. And at the plate for the Rockies is Ben Paulson.
Slow curveball put in a perfect spot for strike one.
1 ball, 1 strike on Paulson. It'll be Ben, Willeen Rosario, and Josh Rutledge to face Shelby Miller, the 23-year-old out of Houston. #1 pick back in 2009 by the Cardinals.
Find interesting, since 2010, Cardinals starters versus the Rockies at Busch Stadium. There's been 15 starts by their club. 11-3, 174 earned run average. That hurt. Caught him right on the thumb. 174 earned run average. 92 strikeouts in 103 2/3 innings. And the crazy part about all of this, you look at the strikeouts, and then it's 131 for the Cardinals. It's 88, by the other side. And I think it just shows the dominance that they have. Their starters out of those 15 starts, 13 different times they've worked into the 6th inning.
And they understand what time of year it is also. Talked a lot about that, but in September they've won 11 straight at home, dating to last year. And get this, they're 27-7 in September and October at home since 2012. They finish strong, and that's why year in and year out they're either in the postseason or flirting with the postseason. 1 ball and 1 strike on the Rockies catcher, Willeen Rosario. And a shattered bat. The bat goes to short. The ball goes to Matt Carpenter at third, and they're 2 outs. A reminder, if the Rockies do break out and score 7 tonight or in any game, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day between 4 and 6 and get your Rockies taco special, Liv Moss and Taco Bell.
Blew this bat completely up with a hard sinker down and in right below the label. A lot of that bat breaking's created by the strength of the hitter, that impact with the ball. That's what causes a lot of that splitting to happen. Willeen thrown out by a few steps.
First pitch strike on Rutledge. Rockies have been outscored 13-3 so far on this trip. Curveball, and it's hitting the air to center. John Jay will have it. Quick and efficient for Shelby Miller in the second. Matt Holliday a home run. It's 1-0 Cardinals. Go to the bottom of the second. They'll have Yadier Molina, John Jay, and Pete Kozma, 6, 7, and 8 to face Franklin Morales, Drew Goodman, George Frazier, and Mark Stout. Tweet your questions using the hashtag Toyota Talk for the 5th inning. Get them loaded up right now. Hashtag Toyota Talk. Well, Holiday, with that home run in the first, he came into the ballgame last night hitting just 200 in his first at bat this year, which is kind of strange for a guy with his ability. But of course, the last 2 nights he's hit a 3-run home run and a solo home run. How about this? You want to talk about torturing your former club? He's now hit 11 home runs against Rockies pitching since he left.
You know, I'm trying to look back. Let's think of another player that would have played, you know, to put that into perspective, that would have come back to play against his former team and the numbers he would have put up, because Seth Smith has big numbers against the Rockies.
You know who
he doesn't have the home runs.
It's tailed off a little bit. You know who was like that for the Rockies? Cargo against his original club. He never got to the big leagues with him. He used to kill Arizona. Yeah. Cargo got to the big leagues originally with Oakland, or initially I should say with Oakland, and then came to stardom with the Rockies. But Cargo wore out Arizona and all his old friends. Yadier is retired, and that'll bring up John Jay. John Jay, look at those numbers. It's not a qualifying number, the 314 average. But when you talk to people close to the Cardinals, they'll tell you that in some ways he's been their most valuable guy offensively, because he hit, George, in that long period of time when nobody was hitting for St. Louis.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Drew, I laughed downstairs as I talked to numerous scouts, and they go, they like to play word games with you, and their comment was, John Jay, everyday player or not? And I go, what do you mean everyday player? He's played he sat here and he's played 128 games. What do you mean everyday player? You call that a part-time player? He's hitting 314. They go, okay, I guess I see what you mean. But I was like, you know, you can categorize when they traded for Borges that you thought they were going to split time equally, and Jay's taking it. Pete Kozma comes to the plate. Petey works out with us all winter long. Very familiar with Pete, hitting 364 here in September. Not big numbers against the Rockies, but it's not a coincidence that he's hitting well in September. He had 304 in his career in the month of September over 47 career ball games, 308, excuse me. And he was hitting 365 in AAA when he got the call to come back to the big leagues. Coca-Cola Value Packs are the best deal in town, available in September and through September 15th and the 17th when the Dodgers are in town. So take advantage of that. $59 or $79 depending on seat location. 303 Rockies, Rockies.com/specials. That is a great package, the Coca-Cola Value Packs. That's great to come to the ballpark that way. You get great, obviously not a bad seat in Coors Field.
1-2 on Kozma with 2 outs in the second. Unlike last year where Pete was the starting shortstop for a good portion of the year for St. Louis, most of this year he's been in AAA.
When they signed Peralta and Ellis, they booted him out of the extended role, and Garcia got called up prior to that. But Pete was so hot in September that they gave him that opportunity again. And if you go back 2 years ago when they won the World Championship, Pete was the guy that came up and really solidified things in late August and September and made all kinds of plays defensively, but he swung the bat well. I remember in high school watching him play in Oklahoma. He was 360s, 365, going to be a first-round draft pick. I think he had 5, maybe 6 home runs in the state tournament. He likes these type of situations in these games.
Now he works the count full, batting in the 8th spot in front of Shelby Miller. Pete had 143 games with St. Louis last year. This is his 9th game this year.
Probably last year more than any year in his career he got wore out. Started out hot and then got tired.
And Franklin loses Cosma. That's a little thing, but it's a big thing, and I'll tell you why. Because now Shelby Miller's cleared from St. Louis's perspective in the 2nd inning, as opposed to the likelihood that you start out the 3rd with 1 out, nobody on, and the assumption being that you're going to get the pitcher out.
And he's a good hitting pitcher, but it's 178. It's not your leadoff man Carpenter starting in.
And that, of course, coupled with that Franklin was ahead 1-2 on Cosma. So Miller takes down low, ball 1. You're not getting any of those pitches tonight, evidently. Nothing borderline.
You know, our fourth
called a strike.
Yeah, the 4th strike zone. It's computer generated. It's adjusted to the height of every hitter, so it's not just sitting over the top of home plate. I mean, it's right. You know, and that's the thing about it.
And it's based on the stance of the hitter. So, and I'm glad, George, you pointed that out. So people don't think, well, you know, it doesn't matter whether you're 6'3.5" like Matt Holliday, or you walk up there like Jose Altuve and you're 5'5". It depends on who you are. If Big Adam Dunn were to stroll into the stadium tonight, the strike zone on the 4th strike zone is moved accordingly. That ball's lined to left, and it's going to roll to the corner. Now Cosma can run, and he's going to get a green light from Jose Oquendo, and he's going to score. A double by Miller makes it 2-0.
A 2-out walk to Pete Cosma gave a chance for Miller to swing the bat, and you thought you were going to flip the lineup. In other words, that it was going to be the 3rd out for Miller. It was big for them, but not as big as this double he came up with down in the left field corner. Normally with a pitcher, you shade over in the outfield, not thinking he's going to pull the ball. But when it got to the corner, Cosma can run, cut the bag very well, and Oquendo, why not try it? No play at the plate.
Well, that right there is a difference between winning baseball and losing baseball. You have 2 outs, nobody on. You're ahead of the 8-hole hitter who's played 9 games in the big leagues this year and did not swing it well in AAA.
No, he's 240 in AAA. He swung it well the last month, but you're ahead 1-2. Then you start to get trying to finesse your way through the rest of the at bat, and it cost you.
And then you give up a double to the pitcher, and now you're down 2-0, and runs, I need not tell you, have been hard to come by for the Rockies. This ball's belted to right center field by Carpenter, and it's gone. Now it's 4-0. It's the 8th home run of the season for Matt Carpenter.
For the Pittsburgh Pirates, if you're scoreboard watching right now, you've seen a quick explosion with 2 outs here in the 2nd inning. 4 runs out in a hurry. Left on left, cutter up but out over the plate. Almost looked like it backed up. Didn't back up on this.
Now the Cardinals, who are 2nd to last in the big leagues in home runs, last in the National League, the only team in the big leagues to have hit fewer home runs coming into tonight, the Kansas City Royals. They've hit 2 out. They have 98 on the season. And Frankie has given up 24 home runs in 136 innings.
Estrada, Stoltz, Heron have given up more. Now Morales with 24 home runs given up. He's 4th in the league now.
Randall Grichuk at the plate takes a changeup for ball 1. Called strike, 1-1. Subaru brings you the manager's challenge. If there's a questionable call, instant replay will be used to determine the outcome. It's brought to you by Subaru. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. On the swing, 1-2.
Didn't even ask. Called it himself from behind home plate.
That home run by Carpenter's first in almost a month. Last was August 17th. And this ball's in the air to left center. Blackman gets over, makes the catch. 3 runs with 2 outs, 4-0 St. Louis. We go to the third. Sports is brought to you by the Ford Escape. Smart, safe, and fun to drive. Ford Escape. Go further. By Southwest Airlines. Without a heart, it's just a machine. And by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. 4-0 St. Louis. Let's see what Mark's up to again.
All right, guys, still having some fun up here in the rooftop above the ballpark village. But in the ballpark village is something cool. It is the Cardinals Hall of Fame Museum. I want to show you some of the features in there. The first one is about pennants. And I learned something when I went in there this week, that the word pennant is derived from the word penna, which is Latin for the feather of a bird. And then a pennon in Old French was a pennant that they would use even back in medieval times for military adventures. So you see the old pennants of the Cardinals that show up. That's where the word pennant comes from, and that's what they would wave around. Now, pennants are every day, but that's one of the neat kind of features and exhibits that we have. And I'll show you a few more as the night goes on. It's a really neat Hall of Fame and museum because those Cardinals, as you know, George, the history here is so storied. It goes so far back, and with so many titles, it's a great place. I recommend it to everyone.
Well, if you pan to your right, that shot of the pennants on the wall, Mark, if we could have panned to the right a little bit, we would have seen George was in that team picture on that pennant on the right.
I always figured a way to jump in on all those.
Well, Mark said it had origins in medieval times. And
that's what I'm saying. I mean, I said I heard team picture, and I just took off running and got in.
See the one right there, lower right-hand portion of your
screen. That one over there, yeah, that's right.
If we could push on that.
Medieval times, Doug, did they have a camera in medieval times?
They had smartphones then, yes.
Well, no, I don't know. That's a picture.
Chop foul, DJ LeMahieu leading things off against Miller in the third. One-two, and again it's chopped foul. Well, he's utilizing that sinker more and more.
Shorten up a lot of innings. Look what Wainwright did last night. The number of ground ball outs in the last 4 innings, maybe 5, for Wainwright compared to the first 3 innings.
That's low. Well, the sinker has been improved since the acquisition of Justin Masterson, which is kind of ironic. Shelby Miller's gotten better. There's Masterson in the middle. Masterson hasn't really done much for the Cardinals. It's been picked up from Cleveland. 2-3 with a 7.90 ERA. What a play by Cosmo.
Yeah, that's what he does.
What a great play by Cosmo.
Yeah, great leather and instinct getting to a baseball. Took a hit away from DJ LeMahieu.
But he worked with them. You guys as a group always talk to each other about how you hold certain pressure points, and Masterson's helped Miller quite a bit with his two-seamer.
Well, you always try to gather a lot of information. How about this play from Cosmo? I mean, diving parallel with the ground, making contact with the baseball, catching, getting back to the knees, and then making the play. So Doug just passed this along to me, talking about the pennants on the wall over there. They have 11 world championships here, 19 pennants and 26 playoff appearances. There's the 11 world championships.
Yeah, they've got a whole lot of world championships. A couple recently. 06, 2011. 0-2 on Morales, 0-3 on Morales. That means you got to go. Well, the Cardinals made a couple of deadline deals for big-name pitchers. Masterson, as I just mentioned, with an ERA close to 8, and John Lackey, required at the trade deadline from Boston for Joe Kelly and Alan Craig. He's got a 5+ ERA in 8 starts with St. Louis.
Masterson sent to the bullpen. Now Walker has been sent to the bullpen. Colorado's own Gonzalez will start on Sunday.
Yeah, Marco Gonzalez, if you missed that, will make the start on Sunday. He made his major league debut earlier this year at Coors Field. Now, Michael Wacha is coming off that shoulder situation where he had a stress fracture, and they just didn't like what it looked like in his last out.
You can't have a guy, even though you're in September and you have a large bullpen. His first start, 3 innings were okay. The last 4 innings were not. Then when he threw his bullpen on the side the other day, Matheny just said it doesn't look right. I mean, I'm watching it. I'm a former catcher. This doesn't look right. And Walker admitted it's not right. And so, I mean, he's doing a smart thing. They're in the middle of a pennant drive. They can't be sitting running a guy out that might go 1 inning, or he may go 5 innings. You don't know what he's going to do. So there's no way you can afford to do that.
Charlie Blackmon flies out on an 0-2 pitch. Miller pounded the zone. It's 4-zip Cardinals. photos, use the hashtag COFanPhoto, and we'll show a fan photo brought to you by AT&T each night later on in the evening. Matt Holliday will lead things off. Matt, a home run to center field against Morales in the first inning.
It was a cutter that didn't cut in. Backed up and stayed right out in the middle of the plate.
Let's check our Steel T Heating and Air Cool Stat. Never a trip charge for a repair. A $69 value. Steel T, the T stands for trust. Go to steelt.com. Well, he has killed his former club. We discussed that earlier. .395 average, 11 home runs as well. And it's a 3-0 count.
All of his kids were on the field today. The oldest, Jackson, was just hitting ropes all over the ballpark.
Jackson's playing like 2 years above his age group. 3-0's in there, 3-1. Shocking that his kids are good athletes, huh?
Yeah, imagine that, huh? Dad was a pitcher at Miami, brother a catcher at OSU, and dad's in the big leagues.
His grandfather, longtime college coach, as you mentioned, a college pitcher. And Matt, when he came out of high school, Stillwater High, he and Carson Palmer were the two highest rated quarterbacks in the country.
There was letters, and I've read them, from different NFL coaches encouraging Matt to go play college football, that they thought he could be a front line, if not one of the top NFL quarterbacks.
Probably could have done whatever he wanted athletically. I mentioned this before on broadcasts. Matt, we were shooting a piece one spring training, and we were kind of showing off Matt's athletic ability, and we were throwing the football around. And listen, he's never been known for a great baseball arm, but he could throw the heck out of a football. Kind of a different delivery. And then we went inside to a gym, and he did a 360 and threw it down with two hands.
Might not be able to do that now, but he's still one of those guys that phenomenal athlete. You know, the other thing, people don't hear a lot about it because he's very quiet, but he is very active in the community here in St. Louis, off the field, in various different organizations, one being cancer because of his mother Kathy and her fight and her winning battle. She has won. And then, you know, Matt very involved in all of that.
He has always been one of our favorite people to visit with. Matt is a class act, and we're happy for his success. Just wish it didn't come so much against the Rockies.
Stolen base last night for Matt Holliday. It was his fourth. Interesting piece today in a St. Louis paper. While I was here early yesterday, I watched the entire team gather at second base, and I saw Jose Aquindo there. So I thought, well, they're talking about base running, talking about some defensive plays, maybe secondary leads, because they were completely away from the field of play where an announcer could hear or a newspaper. And what it was Matt Holliday and Aquindo talking to his teammates about making plays to win games, running the base paths to win a baseball game. And I thought it ironic that Matt shows up and steals a base last night after the conversation, having three the previous 5 months. He gets a stolen base last night, home run last night, home run tonight. And Aquindo, whose name has been mentioned at times in managing situations.
He deserves an opportunity.
At some point, I think he will.
Jose's been he was a terrific player, and he's been part of a lot of winning here in St. Louis. Good communicator.
Well, Tony La Russa, you know, inherited him and kept him. That's how much he thought of him until when Tony came here to manage. And Tony brought quite a few of his own coaches with him.
Here's the 3-1. It's in the air to right. Long run for Kadire. And Michael gets over there, and then Fires in the direction of Ben Paulson. 1 out. Peralta retired. Matt Adams will come up.
Well, just remember, during the course of the year, you can come by and take a tour of Coors Field. It's individual tickets, or you can do it as a group to come by, and would love to have you in the off season. It is a great place to go behind the scenes and have a look at one of the prettiest ballparks in all of baseball. 303 Rockies for more information.
So Matt Adams at the plate with 1 out. He had a fly ball to Corey Dickerson in left his first time. And that's pulled foul past Chris Maloney at first. Matt Holliday and Frankie were teammates on the Rockies World Series team of 2007. Matt had a gorgeous year in 07. And you may recall was second in the MVP voting to the Rockies' first round opponent, their shortstop. Took out Philadelphia in 07. Jimmy Rollins won the MVP in 07 with 353 votes. Matt was next at 336. And then Prince Fielder. David Wright was fourth, then another Philly that year, Ryan Howard. And you fast forward 7 years. A balk was called on Franklin. You got to pause and watch Frankie here.
That's a pause?
Yeah, that looked like a pause. I don't know why that was a balk.
You can't argue balks. You can't argue supposedly balls and strikes. Happens a lot. The 2-out walk mistake, 1 and 2 count, haunted Frankie, and then now the balk, which is the most in the National League, Franklin Morales. Segrini and Cincinnati, Hatcher, Martin, and Perez.
As I say, George, you fast forward from 07 to 2014. This is fouled off. Jimmy Rollins is having a pretty good year in terms of his power stroke with Philadelphia. He's hit home runs again. Matt Holliday's come on in the second half to lead first place St. Louis. Prince Fielder, who was indestructible, got hurt this year. He's now with Texas. David Wright shut down for the season with a shoulder ailment. His numbers down this year. Ryan Howard on the back nine of his career.
You know, they complain about Ryan Howard, or they say how much he has not hit for average, and I think that's where they got spoiled a little bit, because he always hit for a high average most of the time.
Ryan's a St. Louis kid.
Yes, he was. Went to Missouri State at that time. It was Southwest Missouri State.
You know anything about Springfield, where that's located?
Very little. I just go to my mom's and come back.
2 strikes on Matt Adams. And a ground ball right side. Paulson knocks it down. Holliday to third, and they're 2 outs.
But Howard, even though his average is way down, still 92 RBIs, top 10 in that regard.
Still strikes fear in the opposition when he strolls up to the plate. Yadier Molina grounded to second, his initial at bat. Had his first extra base hit last night since returning from the DL at double. If you look at Tommy Kahnle.
Franklin 65 pitches with 2 outs, working here in the third. That count very high because of the first inning. Took 30 to get through the first.
And his counterpart, Shelby Miller, has fired strike after strike tonight. 31 of 40 pitches have been in the strike zone. And he's thrown first pitch strikes to 8 of the 10 hitters he's faced. Job by Rosario.
have to be aware, if you're Matt Holliday, of a wild pitch.
Where's that?
I have no idea. Frankie's frustrated. Both sides are frustrated. Shelby Miller was in the first inning. Frankie's getting frustrated here, and I don't blame him. Should be a 2-2 count. Now you jump into a hitter's count. Mark Carlson must not have anything to do tonight, but pretty amazing.
3-2 on Molina. 6-time Gold Glove winner, Yadier Molina. He's got a ways to go to catch Pudge Rodriguez in Gold Gloves. Pudge produced 13. 3-2. Curveball, see you later. Great pitch by Morales. That'll leave Holliday at third, and we'll go to the fourth inning. The Cardinals lead at 4-0. The Rockies have been limited to one hit against Shelby Miller. First Bank game recap. Put the seventh inning stretch to good use. Get First Bank's free checking at eFirstBank.com. Matt Holliday did it again tonight. He had a home run in the first inning. This one a solo shot. And then in the next inning, 3 runs came around. 2 on this swing by Matt Carpenter. His 8th home run of the year. His first home run in almost a month. Shelby Miller, we misspoke a moment ago. It's not 8 out of 10 first pitch strikes. It's 10 out of 10. And in 40 pitches, only 9 have been out of the strike zone. That's our First Bank game recap. So the Rockies, second time through against Miller, will try to get something going. Michael Kadire has the only hit. A line single to center.
This is usually where the opposition starts to get after him. 271, second time through. He's starting to become like a lot of those Cardinal pitchers, though. You stake them to a 4-run lead, they only get more difficult. And Walt talked about Wainwright last night and how they had their chances early the first couple of innings. Then once he settled in, it was just too difficult to catch back up.
First 2-0 count of the night. And another base hit from Michael Kadire. So Cuddy reaches leading off the fourth in front of Corey Dickerson. And also in front of another visit with Mark Stout. Mark?
All right, guys, I'm here with the ladies of Dana's wedding party, Dana's bachelorette party. This is Dana. Hold your sign up for everybody. And what say?
It says, I'm getting married on home plate, November 8th.
Okay, and on the back, as a good Cardinals fan would have, it says, go crazy, go crazy.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been a Cardinals fan?
Since I was born, obviously.
Obviously. Who planned this bachelorette party?
All of my wonderful bridesmaids and friends.
And you wanted to definitely have it here in the new rooftop?
Yes, definitely.
How about getting married at home plate? That's okay with your husband to be?
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. What the bride says is what happens.
Did you guys hear that?
Mark, what did I tell you years and years ago?
Yeah, you told me that, didn't you?
What did I
George?
do? I said you say I do and then yes, dear for the rest of your life.
So
Four words.
He said yes, dear.
Yes, of course.
Okay, and then he'll say I do.
He will.
So November the 8th, what happens if it's a little chilly?
Then people wear a parka.
Now listen, the Cardinals perhaps could be in the World Series. So did you have to plan that after the World Series?
I did. They don't do weddings at Busch Stadium in October because of the playoffs. Because the Cardinals are always in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah, Drew.
We did a little research, and evidently her future husband's actually a Cubs fan. So he really did relinquish.
There's a sneaky word that maybe your future husband's a Cubs fan.
That's not true at all. That's just a lie.
Way to go, Drew.
Who's your favorite Cardinal of all time?
Yachty.
See, one word. Yachty. All right. Well, Dana, enjoy the game.
Thank you. You too. Enjoy the Cardinals win.
And it's not over yet. And congratulations to you.
Thank you so much. Go Cardinals.
Guys.
Well, that's Yachty's house at home plate. Big swing from Corey Dickerson, fouls it back 2-2. I think the celebration's actually already begun. Kadire at first, a lead single. Dickerson 2 for 4 yesterday. 3 for 17 on the trip. He's at .318 this year against right-handed pitching.
Last night, Rosenthal wrote a fastball in and up, but it was 99. That was 93, and Miller tried the same approach. Corey was able to fight it off.
Foul tip held by Molina. A strikeout at Dickerson. That's 3 strikeouts for Shelby Miller. Did you know that money generated from hunting and fishing in our state creates jobs and protects wildlife? So when you see a hunter or angler, give them a hug. Learn more at hugahunter.com. I gave you a hug last night.
And you gave me one this morning. You gave me one at noon. You gave me one before the game started.
Are you
chasing a mile around in the outfield before batting practice? Him and brothers.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the term embellishment?
Just large exaggeration is what it was.
Nolan Arenado at the plate. On the inside corner. Strike one on Arenado. Nolan popped to second to end the first frame. Whoa. Boy,
Yeah,
that obviously
intentional.
slipped.
Yeah. Slipped more than just a little, too.
Kadire to second on a very wild pitch.
Yeah, running fastball inside to Nolan.
1. High fly ball, deep left center field. Holiday, though, has a beat on it. Two outs. 2 outs, and that'll bring Ben Paulson up. Paulson pinch hit in the game last night. Actually, excuse me, he came into the ball game at first base when Morneau had to leave. He had 1 at bat, struck out in the 8th inning last night.
Rockies last night 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position. So far tonight, 0 for 1.
Shelby Miller finished 3rd in the Rookie of the Year voting last year, but it's kind of misleading. It was a 2-man race. Jose Fernandez won it with 142 votes. Yasiel Puig was 2nd with 95, and then Miller had 12 votes. Hyunjin Ryu was 4th with 10 votes. Julio Teheran of the Braves had 7 votes. Two 2-0 on Paulson.
See, that's a difference maker there when you can throw the curveball at 75 when you're behind in counts to a very good power hitting first baseman. So, you know, now you've got an equalizer in the mind of the hitter. No score in Tulsa's ball game of yet. Jason Aquino made the start for Tulsa. Asheville leads at 2-0 in the 4th.
Two and 2 on Paulson. Well, they're doing a lot of scoreboard watching here in St. Louis. 'Tis the time of year, and they'll like what they see in Pittsburgh tonight. The Cubs in the 5th inning leading 3-0. It's fouled on. How about Baez, the rookie with all that pop? He had another home run, George. We saw when he just came to the big leagues. Junior Baez has 9 home runs already.
Things are looking pretty promising for the Chicago Cub organization when you also put Chris Bryant, the number 2 pick in the draft just a year ago, hit over 30 home runs at the minor leagues between 2 stops, AA and AAA.
The other score they're keeping their eye on, the Brewers and Reds. They're scoreless in the 4th inning at Miller Park. Brewers gotten their legs back under them. They've won 3 straight. Brandon Phillips is at the plate in that ball game, George.
Did you notice that?
Yeah, the bases are loaded. 2-2. That's inside at 94. 3-2. Auto glass issues, as we like to say. Give Safelite a call to make an appointment. 303-287-5000, online at safelite.com.
Wouldn't be surprised to see a curveball here.
There it is. You were right, and it's looped into right for a base hit. Here comes Kadire. Here comes the throw. Not going to get him. Yadier going to second. Safe there. So Paulson gets the Rockies on the board with a broken bat single. And he wisely moved up as he saw the throw clear the cutoff man Adams.
7 RBIs for Ben now in the season. The base hit by Kadire. Wild pitch to second base, and Matheny's going out to second base. I'm not sure why. He'll turn and look back to the dugout after talking with Pat Holberg, the second base umpire. The foot's in. He can turn around and go back in just a second once he looks to the dugout and they give him a thumb down angle. Pressure is against the bat. The Cardinals only have challenged 16 times this year and have been successful 9. The Rockies, on the other hand, 35 times, successful 14.
Rosario at the plate now, with Paulson at second. Willeen grounded to short in the second inning. His first AB against Shelby Miller. 4-1 the score. And this ball's in the air to deep left center field. John Jay will get back and make the catch. So the Rockies take advantage of a hit by Kadire and a wild pitch. That's the first run allowed by Shelby Miller in almost 18 innings.
Get on the board. They trail by a score of 4-1. Let's get you the Coors timeless moment. And it's kind of a neat thing that the Rockies did on this day back in 1996. You see Dante hitting his 30th home run. He became a 30-30 player with that home run off of Shane Reynolds of the Astros. His teammate Ellis Burks had already gone 30-30. So the Rockies became the second team ever, along with the '87 Mets, to have 2 30-30 players. I was talking to Walt Weiss today. Dante actually stole his 30th base, guys, the day before he hit his 30th homer. And I said, Walt, it's hard to believe that Dante Bichette could steal 30 bags. He said, it was all about the element of surprise. He said he would go before the pitcher even had his sign, and they had a joke that he was never thrown out by a catcher. He was either picked off. That year, he stole 31 bags and was caught stealing 12 times, 6 in each half of the season. But 2 30-30 guys on that 96 club.
Yeah, very unusual.
All right, Mark, you know a lot of things, some trivial, some not.
Yeah.
How many 30-30 men have the Cardinals produced in 123 years of baseball?
You know, I saw that there were 47. I put in 31 homers, 31 steals. I saw 47 times, 34 different players. I didn't see a Cardinal on there.
You're a smart man. I was thinking about this, Dougie and I, as we were sitting up here a couple of hours ago preparing for the game. I said, Doug, I don't remember who would have been a 30-30 guy for the Cardinals. And Dougie came up with Carlos Beltran, which is a great guess. He never did it in a Cardinals uniform.
Well, you're talking about at the back end of his career, too, where he had knee injuries, where I don't think he could have stole 30 bases.
Yeah, and that's a good point. The closest Cardinal, the answer is none. The closest, Ray Lankford in '98, hit 31 home runs and stole 26 bases. 2-2 on John Jay here in the bottom of the fourth. 4-1 St. Louis. Bunch of pitches for Morales through the first 3, and that's going to be a base hit through the left side on his 76th pitch of the game.
Tommy Kahnle was up throwing in the previous inning. Not sure if that's going to see him up again and get things going.
Cubs, by the way, continue to lead 3-0, but Cincinnati has taken advantage of that bases loaded situation. They're now up 2-0 in Milwaukee.
Pirates with 2 outs and a runner on third in the bottom of the 5th.
Kind of like how they have that scoreboard here, huh?
Well, it's big. I can read it.
Cosma walked and scored in the second on a Shelby Miller double. All of that came with 2 outs, and then Matt Carpenter hit a 2-run home run to right center.
Cosma had the big walk with 2 outs. Scored on the base hit. Foul tips that off-speed offer. Even the count 1-1.
Down low.
If you're looking for a great deal and you want to help out the environment, purchase a green pack. They're available Monday, September the 15th when the Dodgers are in town. You get 2 tickets with $5 going towards our Games of Greens initiative. Again, Rockies.com/green. Read all about it.
Tommy Kahnle's back up. Jay going. Cosma fouls it off.
Typical hit and run count, 2-1, thinking you're going to get a fastball.
Pete comes from a high school program in Tulsa area, Georgia. Seems to crank out players.
Owasso High School, Dylan Bundy was probably the second most noted behind Pete when he was taken with the 2nd pick in the draft by Baltimore. Hard slider, got Pete on the back foot slider and a strikeout. Good job, Frankie.
Yep, Franklin's 2nd strikeout. That'll bring up Shelby Miller.
Good spot, great location. Difficult for right-handed hitters to hit that pitch. Moline rode the pitch out of the zone and was able to put leather to it and keep it in front of it. Now back in the 2nd inning, got a cutter on the inner half of the plate. Drove it down into that left field corner. That scored Cosma. Different situation now. Trying to bunt, he'll take, and is breaking balls in for a strike.
Well, in a season where the Cardinals have been starved many evenings for runs, their pitchers have been pretty good. That was the 16th ribby by their staff this year. There's only 2 teams that have more runs batted in by their pitching staff. The Cubs and Giants with 17 each, and most of those with the Giants are owned by Bumgarner,
who hit a grand slam. With 1 swing, he put 4 out there.
Chance for 2. There's 1 on to first. Not quite in time.
Nice pick by Rutledge.
And a good call by Willeen Rosario. You could hear him yelling 2-2-2. So Miller at first with 2 outs, with Carpenter coming up.
Well, you watch when this ball's bunted. It's very hard. Willeen, easy choice. Now throw a strike. Rutledge able to pick it, and then a snap throw on to first did not get Shelby Miller. He knows that he'd bunted it hard, so he busted up the line hard as he could go and just beat the throw of Rutledge.
So here's Matt Carpenter, fly ball center field, and the drive into the right center field seats to at the time make it 4-0. The Rockies got a run last inning on a Ben Paulson single that brought home Michael Kadire, who had singled and moved up on a wild pitch. Carpenter has not really produced much the last 20 games, coming in a 172 average over the last 20 games. And that cutter's in there for a strike. 2-strike count on the third baseman for St. Louis. He's playing a lot of second base, and David Freese moved on, and now he's at third.
And it seems at times it's a little bit of a struggle for his arm to make a good snap hard throw to first base. We've seen 4 high throws so far. 1 resulted in a check-in. Frankie and Wallin wanted strike 3.
Curveball, and what a pickup by DJ. I'm telling you, I hope the nation looks in. I know the Rockies' record's not pretty, but his defense has been beautiful. He deserves a Gold Glove. Rockies in inning number 5. What a beautiful play he just made. It's the second star-rated play he's made tonight.
It is. You see, it's all about timing, the length of the body, having the coordination to regroup yourself, get a hold of the baseball, and then make the throw, put a good throw over to first base. In slow motion, it all looked really easy. Trust me, it would.
I thought he did it much quicker than that.
He did. Here you go, Drew. Let me show it to you in real speed. You want to see it in real speed?
Sure.
All right, here you go. Ready? Quicker for you?
He was out by the same distance each time, though. I noticed that. Rutledge will lead it off against Shelby Miller in the 5th. Fielding percentage, one metric that you determine how valuable a guy has been with his glove. Phillips has been terrific, and Neil Walker's had a really good year. But another metric I mentioned earlier, and it bears repeating, defensive runs saved. So your range factor, getting the balls that seem like they're hits and could produce runs. He's got a 19 runs saved defensively by DJ LeMahieu. Next best at second base, Brandon Phillips with 4. And as opposed to 20 years ago, those metrics are taken into serious consideration when determining who wins the Gold Glove, voted on by, I always get confused, it's managers and coaches who vote the Gold Glove.
Yes, and I think they ought to let the players get involved, to be quite honest with you, because I do think that if you had every player vote, because players appreciate good players more than anybody.
Rutledge out on a close play. The throw by Peralta just got him, and now LeMahieu, who's hit .371 in the month of September. High. DJ this year, in a season where few have been able to answer the bell every day, DJ's playing in his 138th game, which is second to Charlie Blackmon on the club. Charlie in 140, and that's going to be an infield hit for LeMahieu. Carpenter couldn't come up with it cleanly with the bare hand. I don't think he would have been able to throw him out anyhow.
A lot of times this ball is topped, and as a hitter you hesitate thinking it's going to go foul. No hesitation from DJ, and then Carpenter with the bare hand not able to come up cleanly to be able to make a throw.
And a pinch hitter for Franklin Morales.
Parker.
Parker.
Yeah, Parker pinch hit yesterday in a pitcher's slot early in the game also.
Parker, another Rocky, making his big league debut this year. I'm sure he spent his day prior to arriving at the park watching college football. Former star quarterback at Clemson. Kahnle's been doing a whole lot of throwing in the bullpen. At some point he'll be in the game, and you assume it'll be next half inning since he's the only one up. Well, speaking of college football, Jeff Houston's Wyoming Cowboys gave Oregon a little bit of a run early. They were up 7-0 after one, and then speed took over. And the Ducks won 48-14 as Parker is a strikeout victim. Wyoming was able to move the football more than 400 yards of offense. Colorado State won big over Cal Davis today, 49-21. See you tonight against Arizona State. Blackmon, a ground ball to third and a fly ball to left. 2 outs. LeMahieu at first. 4-1 St. Louis in the 5th. Center field, John Jett. Middle of 5. Cardinals leading at Busch Stadium 4-1. Rockies a run on 4 hits. The Cardinals 4 runs on 5 hits, but they utilized the long ball tonight. A home run from Matt Holliday in the first, 2-run home run in the second from Matt Carpenter. Tommy Kahnle takes over his 51st appearance. George, league's hitting below 200 against him.
A nice surprise. Again, credit John Wild, the scouting staff, all pounded the table for a Rule 5 pick that they thought could help this club. And it always had a power arm, but walks were very prevalent a year ago, almost 1 per inning. That's not the case this year. 65 1/3, 45 hits given up, 60 walks, or 60 strikeouts, and just 29 walks. So Kahnle will try to preserve this game in a 4-1 deficit for the Rockies and let the offense kick in at some point.
2, 3, and 4 for the Cardinals in the 5th inning. Randall Grichuk, Matt Holliday, Johnny Peralta. Righty's hitting just .217 against Kahnle. Kind of interesting, is that missed badly, is that lefties are hitting even worse, 171.
Part of that's that changeup that he has and the heaviness of his fastball away.
Grichuk, a fly ball to deep left and a fly ball to Charlie Blackmon in center. Like his swing, George.
Got a pretty good one, doesn't he?
Yeah. Hey, it's our Toyota Talk inning. Get some questions here momentarily. And a good heater. It's a count of 1 and 2 on Grichuk. Cardinals 16 and 5 their last 21 home dates. I'm looking up in left center or left field down that line, and I'm reminded of when this ballpark opened 9 years ago. Remember that section way up high above Big Mac land and all that wasn't available yet for folks because they had bathroom issues. Remember that there was some problem and they had to redo them or reconstruct them. Goes off Rosario's glove. And so a portion of the ballpark in the upper deck and left field down that line were not available. They are now. They got the problem addressed fairly quickly. Here's our first question tonight. Do you have an injury update on Giancarlo Stanton? All baseball fans wish him well. Absolutely. The stitches will be removed on Tuesday. He had multiple facial fractures and he also lost a few teeth. And he's a tough man because he said he wants to return this year. And initially that was ruled out. This ball's well hit the center field. Blackmon will have a play. Giancarlo Stanton did not have to have surgery, thankfully. Follow that story to see if the Marlins give him an opportunity to play again this year.
Yeah, and I mean the deal is also they're 6.5 back now in the wild card with not many games left to play. I don't see how he's going to, but there again you don't know.
And he may want to, George, and this is a complete guess, just to get over the fear factor again. The flinch. However you want, however you want to describe it, get back in the box. And any player that's gotten hit in the head, I'm sure knows that feeling, and it's not a pleasant one. Holliday at the plate. Matt, the home run and a walk. That's a fair ball. Deline jumped on it quickly, and Holiday's retired. Well, look no further than Mike Matheny when talking about guys that were hit in the head and then had to go back to the plate and adjust. Mike lost teeth.
Well, his career was over because of it.
How many more bats per game does Corey Dickerson need to qualify for consideration for the batting title? He needs 64 more plate appearances in the last 15 games, so it's about 4.27 per game, which he's going to need either some extra inning games or some games where the Rockies offense erupts and he has a string of 5 at-bat ball games. Corey would not be leading. He's at 309. Josh Harrison of the Pirates came into the ball game at 318. Justin Morneau, who's down right now with the intercostal strain, at 315. And Andrew McCutchen, last year's MVP in the National League, has come up again. He's at 311. 0-2 on Peralta.
The swing that looked like I don't want anything to do with this guy. Fastball 93, 94 away, then a hard slider away. Two to one now in the bottom of the 5th, that Cincinnati Milwaukee game. Bottom of the 6th. Pittsburgh has a runner on with nobody out. Nolan will field this. Snap throw to first. Get in the dugout.
1, 2, 3, 5th inning for Canley. We'll go to the 6th. The Rockies need to get the bats going. We've said that a lot lately. They're down 4-1. – 4-1 as we go to the top of the 6th inning. Kadire, Dickerson, and Arenado. Big thank you for tweeting us your questions during Toyota Talk. As always, for more answers, visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/RootSportsRM. And again, we check in with Mark Stout. Mark?
Drew, I want to show you another cool exhibit in the Cardinals Hall of Fame and Museum, which is right below me here in the new Ballpark Village. Now, it is the Cardinals, but there's other baseball history as Kadire gets a hold of this. And we'll hold on a minute as Cuddy's going to roll into second for a double, a leadoff double. They also, of course, talk about the St. Louis Browns, because back in the day, the Browns and the Cardinals shared Sportsman Park. I love this feature. It's about Eddie Goodell, who, of course, was 3'7", and in 1951, on August 19th of that year, Bill Veeck, who owned the Browns then, sent him to the plate to hit. He wore the number 1/8. Well, that uniform that we're showing you belonged to the Bat Boy at that time, who then was 9 years old. The Bat Boy's name is Bill DeWitt Jr., who now at the age of 73 is the owner of the Cardinals. He was the bat boy for the Browns. That's the uniform, guys, that they put in Eddie Goodell. 3-inch strike zone is what he had.
Did Mr. DeWitt save that uniform?
Yes, that's the actual uniform.
Wow.
Because he was wearing that as a 9-year-old. They needed it for Eddie Goodell to pinch hit.
Now, 3-inch strike zone, Mark, I'm not sure.
He's 3'7", George.
3-inch strike zone?
Well, you know, you get you're down here.
Now, now a little lower. You got to go a little lower. A little bit lower. A little bit lower. Yeah, I know.
Take your base, right?
Yeah, there you go.
How about Michael Kadire? He's figured out Shelby Miller.
Yeah, to the tune of 3 for 3, 2 singles and a double. And they're not going to wait around a long time. Manus is starting to warm up down in their bullpen.
Shelby Miller has really become just a 2-pitch pitcher. Fastball, curveball. There's the curveball. I'll tell you a story about Shelby Miller in high school. Be a first-round pick, you got to figure you're pretty dominant. His junior year of high school, he had 3 straight no-hitters down in Texas, including a perfect game. That's pretty good.
I think one of the heroes, obviously Nolan Ryan, in that Texas area that he looked up to.
Well, who's from Texas didn't look up to Nolan Ryan?
That was
if
a
they
pitcher.
were a pitcher. Yeah. This ball's in the air to Holiday in left field. 1 out. The day after every Rockies victory, get 40% off your online order at Papa John's. Enter the promo code ROXWIN at papajohns.com. 10% of net sales will be donated to Children's Hospital Colorado. Drew Goodman, George Frazier, Mark Stout with 1 out. Nolan Arenado 0 for 2, a pop out and a fly ball to left. Kadire at second, a leadoff double, 4-1 Cardinals in the 6th. Well, Miller, if he didn't sign, and he signed at the 11th hour, was going to go to Texas A&M. Two gone, and Ben Paulson will take his turn. Ben is 1 for 2. He had a broken bat single that drove in Kadire with the Rockies' only run. That came with 2 outs in the 4th.
You look, that bat may have broken, but it also drove in the only Rockies run, and then the throw down to second did not get Paulson, but he was left there and standing at second base in scoring position. In a decisive game in Midland, Texas tonight, Jason Aquino gave up 9 hits in 3 1/3 innings. 6 runs, 5 of them earned. He's out of the ball game. They trail 6-0 in that game, which would have been everything tied 2-2 now. Excuse me, Tulsa up 2-1, so it'll be another game tomorrow.
There's a decisive game tonight in the Sally League.
The Sally League, at which time, and I'll go back and check that for you. The Asheville Tourists were up 2-0. It's now 4-0. Tapia has hit his first home run of the playoffs.
If they can hang on, they'll be celebrating tonight.
Celebrating tonight, the last one with Joe Mikulik back in about 14 years ago. They won the Sally League. Tulsa, the franchise, has not won since it was with Texas many moons ago. It's time for the farmland. What's cooking down on the farm? Farmland, passion for pork since 1959. South Atlantic League right now. Asheville up 4-0. Top of the 8th inning. Midland is up 6-0. At the bottom of the 4th over the Drillers. If Asheville hangs on to it, that ride from, what'd you call it, Hagerstown or Hagerstown?
Hagerstown.
Hagerstown will be a fun ride home. A lot more fun than what Ben Paulson had with Shelby Miller, as he struck out here to end the 6th. Cardinals up 4-1.
This is brought to you by CenturyLink, your link to what's next. And by Dodge. Visit Dodge.com, your local Dodge dealer today. Cardinals up 4-1. As we go to the bottom of the 6th inning, Matt Adams, who's 0 for 2, will lead things off, the 5-hole hitter tonight. Tommy Kahnle continues on. 4 innings from Franklin Morales. He gave up 4 runs on 5 hits, walked 2, struck out 2.
Well, your job, that middle relief role, as he works here in the 6th inning, maintain the game. Kahnle was able to do that in his first inning of work. He'll have Adams, Molina, Jay, two of the 3 hitters left-handed. That's Fred Bird, by the way, Drew. You're having a little difficulty hanging on to the free T-shirts.
Yeah, when we talk
right next to each other, he's missed it like 5 times.
You know, when you talk about Cardinal excellence, George, in this century, the Cardinals have been above 500 13 out of 14 years. And it's soon to be 14 out of 15. They're sitting at 81 and 67. I think it's pretty safe to say they'll at some point get their 82nd victory. Matt Adams, fly ball and a ground ball. Kahnle with a strike. The Yankees have been perfect in the 21st century. They've been above 500 every year. The only year the Cardinals were not above 500 was 2007. Since the advent of the Central Division, the addition of the Central Division in 1994, in those 20 seasons, the Cardinals have 8 division titles, and they're perhaps headed to their 9th. In a division that has the Reds as residents, of great baseball history. Pirates have great history, not a lot of it lately, though. Brewers have had their moments. And if you go back to '94, so have the Astros when the Astros were playing in the Central.
Yeah. I mean, you know, they World Series, and what was it, 05?
Well, that was the year that they were, I think it was 15 and 30 at one point. They were 15 games below 500, and they ended up going to the World Series against the Tigers. 2-2 on Adams.
You mentioned the Cardinals' consistency, Drew. You know, when you have the worst record in baseball, you get the first pick in the draft. That's something the Astros have had for a couple of years. Matt Adams will strike out. Since the history of the draft started, the Cardinals have never had a first pick. If you're looking for a great ticket deal, check out the Blake Street Steal. Available select games throughout September for only $20.14. Visit Rockies.com/specials to get yours today. Their first, you're mentioning this century. There has been a couple of times where they did not have a selection.
And I'm sure you're wondering, because it's such a difficult season for the Rockies this year. The Rockies are tied with Arizona for the second poorest record in baseball. Arizona's lost 7 straight coming into tonight. They're 59 and 88 like the Rockies. The Rangers are 55 and 92. So right now they would have the first pick. This is going to drop. And Yachty's got a base hit. Just walking into the ballpark and walking around the ballpark this morning and this afternoon. of current players, jerseys worn, T-shirts worn, Molina may be number one.
Well, I would think that he would be. His popularity has soared. Number 2 would probably be Matt Holliday or Wainwright.
There's a Yachty jersey. And Mark was interviewing that young lady who's going to get married at home plate in November, and she didn't equivocate. Her favorite player, Yachty or Molina.
Is Mark still on the rooftop over there? How are they going to get him down?
We haven't heard from Mark for a while. A little concerned. John Jay's 1 for 2. When they filled out the scouting reports, when the Molina brothers came out of Puerto Rico, they were taught the game by their father, who was an accomplished player. Catching, high marks. Hitting, high marks. When it got to speed, they just passed over that category.
Hey, Molina does have a stolen base.
Had to be the back end of a double steal.
I'm just telling you, he's got a stolen base.
Mark, you okay, by the way?
Hey, guys, I've got another bride-to-be to introduce you to soon, so I'm still up here. Yeah.
Are you walking around who's getting married?
Evidently.
There's 3 bachelorette parties up here. We've met one, Dana. Sarah's next.
Have you gotten an invitation to any of them?
No, but I got an invitation to a post-game party tonight.
You going?
Imagine that.
They were like, just go change. The hotel's right over there and show back up.
Dickerson may have a play, or Arenado.
Yeah, how about that
job
play?
by Nolan. So John Jay fouls out.
That's why he's got a goal on the back of that glove, making plays like that. Chasing it into foul territory. You have to get over backhand. Dickerson standing behind him, then getting out of the way of him. By the way, Drew.
Yes.
Just so you know.
Yes.
Molina has 41 career stolen bases.
Really?
41. He had 12 in 2012. Just passing that along to you.
He doesn't look like he can get 12 anymore. But he's a great
But he's
catcher.
had 41. I can't throw 90 anymore either.
You're not playing anymore.
No.
He's a marvelous talent.
Oh, he is.
And to pick up on a conversation, he's been caught 26 times. That's fine. You know what? To pick up on a conversation we had about Yachty last night and what Tony La Russa thought of him. Tony's on record as saying that the Cardinals don't win any of their World Series without that man.
Well, I would agree. There's no question. How would you not?
Well, I mean, you can talk about the Matt Hollidays, who's been great. You can talk about
Albert,
Albert, who's a future Hall of Famer. But what he's done with Cardinal pitchers through the years, not to mention he's been a 300 hitter and a clutch hitter, indispensable.
The one thing Tony always had, good bullpen starting pitching, and you had a catcher that could catch. Period. End of the story. I mean, that's what he did. And he might still be doing that in Arizona.
Well, do you remember famously we told the story last year, because I hadn't seen it happen very much, but early in the afternoon, we're out here and Rockies had early BP. Yachty was doing some work on the field, and he went over to Willeen. And this is, their opponents. Went over and he spent at least 20 minutes with them on catching stance, on mechanics, just tutoring them.
Well, just from that, just 20 minutes, you wish that he had 20 days in a row with you. Because until you experience what's happening, sometimes difficult. Rex Brothers, the left-hander, Martinez, the right-hander, but it's a mentoring part of what Yachty is not afraid to to experience and show a young player who is his competition.
I don't know if it would happen between a Cardinal catcher and a Reds catcher. 3-2 on Cosma.
So you don't think Johnny Bench and Ted Simmons probably visited a lot about that?
No, and they were so accomplished they probably didn't need each other's advice. But I'm saying it's particularly in this day and age with the way things got heated up the last few years, especially when Tony and Dusty were the respective managers. On the ground, Paulson with an underhand feed, safe. And going to third is Molina.
Twice now, Cosma has hustled, once on defense, now on offense. On a very softly hit ball to the right side, Molina moved all the way to third, utilizing that catch speed.
Yes.
Here it is. I mean, it's fielded cleanly. The toss is there, but Canely was not there. You got to get off the mound and go immediately as quickly as you can. As a pitcher, anything hit to the right side until called up.
Well, you got to give him a hit.
Tavares will now come on to pinch hit. They will go to their bullpen.
So Oscar Tavares, one of the top prospects the last 3 years in baseball, yet to put it all together with the Cardinals, but he's been tremendous off the bench. 5 for 11 with 4 ribbies. Carlos Martinez throws gasoline. He's going to be next for the Cardinals. And when I say gasoline, I don't mean spreads
he
fire.
throws hard.
He throws really hard. Walt's going to go get Rex Brothers to face Martinez and try to keep it a 3-run game. Tavares, excuse me, would be facing Martinez. Martinez
Just
in the
yet.
bullpen.
Just yet.
Something tells me Martinez is going to get a chance to hit.
Yeah,
Rex Brothers when we come back, 4-1. Tavares is going to be the pinch hitter, and he'll be opposed now by Rex Brothers. It's time for our AT&T fan photo of the game. Now, this was taken at AT&T, and this young gentleman celebrating his 19th birthday with his cousin. Had a good time. Tweet your photo to hashtag #COFanPhoto. Brought to you by AT&T.
Now the numbers on Rex Brothers, 67 appearances now for Rex. 7 home runs given up, looking for the big strikeout here with a couple of runners on. Tavares has power. fractured his ankle severely a year ago. Went to winter ball in the Dominican Republic, came back from that, had a decent year going in AAA, and got an opportunity, did not swing it well, was sent back. Here he is back in September.
This ball roped to right by Taveras. He's now 6 for 12 pitch hitting, and that drives in Molina with the 5th run for St. Louis.
You mentioned 5 for 11 for Taveras. He comes up with another hit here. And a run tacked on.
He's got a longish swing, but like Carlos Gonzalez, he generates a lot of bat speed.
He does have that different sound when the ball comes off of his bat. Matt Belisle getting loose quickly down in the Rockies bullpen. Pretty good pitch. I mean, there's a lot of bend to that slider, hard slider. Taveras set right on it. Now Carpenter is homered in a game, left versus left. St. Louis has capitalized when opportunities with men on as Belisle continues to get loose. St. Louis 2 for 4, Rockies 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position.
1-0 on Matt Carpenter. Carpenter a 2-run home run back in the 2nd. One and two on Carpenter. And that's in the air to left center field. And Dickerson dives and makes the catch. Great play by Dickerson. That saved almost certainly 2 runs. He robs Matt Carpenter. And the Rockies get off the field in the 6th. We'll go to the 7th. St. Louis adds a run. They're ahead 5-1. Here's Hercuni Lexus look back. And most of the highlights again belong to St. Louis. Matt Holliday in the middle of things again. A home run in the first, as he did last night. This time a solo shot. 11 career home runs against the Rockies. Second inning, third baseman Matt Carpenter hits a 2-run home run. It made it 4-0. Shelby Miller in that picture had driven in a run previously with a double. Only run for the Rockies, broken bat single by Ben Paulson to score Michael Kadire, who's 3 for 3 tonight. That's our Cooney Lexus look back. Cooney Lexus, where luxury has an address in Greenwood Village and Colorado Springs. Carlos Martinez will take over for Shelby Miller, who goes 6 innings. And Martinez with a first pitch strike. 49th appearance for Martinez.
82 hits in 80 2/3 innings. He does throw hard, can get it to 100 at times. That ball's going to be hit by Willeen right back to Martinez. The flip to Adams for the first out here in the 7th.
Rosario retired. Josh Rutledge will come up. Rutledge is 0 for 2. Rockies have 5 hits, 3 by Michael Kadire. And the only balls that have been hit hard have been by Kadire. All 3 of his hits were line shots, the last being a double to the gap in right center field. Paulson's hit you saw was a broken bat single, and DJ had a little roller up the third base line for an infield hit. Miller goes 6 innings, allows those 5 hits and just 1 run. This is going to get through the right side. So Rutledge aboard. No walks allowed by Shelby Miller, and he struck out 5. So he continues on this roll where he's not walking players, and the strikeout ratio was much higher last year, but it's starting to come up again.
Starting to see him make more pitches with his secondary stuff, which makes the fastball even that much better.
At the knees, a strike on LeMahieu. With windshield issues, you call Safelight 303-287-5000 or reach them online at safelight.com. Martinez goes slider there, and it's a 2-strike count on LeMahieu.
Belisle was up a minute ago, get through the inning. Now Nicasio is up with McBride in the on-deck circle.
One and 2 on LeMahieu.
LeMahieu had the good defensive plays in the game on a 1-2 count with 1 out. Breaking ball away. The one thing that the Cardinals have had to work on Martinez with is to challenge hitters more. I mean, there was times in the minor leagues he just overpowered people. Other times he got beat around. It's taking him, a couple of peripheral, 2 or 3 trips up and down to figure out how good arm you have and how do I make that arm operate through a lineup. That's what Molina's talking to him about right now.
That was exactly right. That wasn't, pat him on the back. All right, let's go. That was a demanding Martinez challenge.
On every team, there's a leader of their Latin ball players. And when you're the catcher and head of everything like this, he's big time ahead of it.
And what happens? He gets a 6-4-3 double play, and that's it for the Rockies in the 7th. Stretch time in St. Louis in front of a sellout crowd. They're happy with what they've seen. Their club's ahead 5-1. First couple of innings, they added a run in the 6th inning. And they have a 5-1 lead as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. Juan Nicasio's on for the Rockies. And here's our RE/MAX home schedule brought to you by RE/MAX. Nobody sells more real estate than RE/MAX. Dodgers are in when the Rockies return on Monday for a 3-game set. We will not televise Wednesday afternoon, and then Arizona will be in for 4. Following up Los Angeles. That's the final homestand of the year. And let's again see what Mark Stout's doing. Mark?
All right, guys, I told you you would meet Sarah, who is also a bride-to-be. Bachelorette party here, huh?
Bachelorette party, yep.
I see the shiny new ring.
Yes.
It says diamonds are a girl's best friend around your drink.
Yes.
Tell me about how you got engaged.
We were engaged here at the ballpark. He proposed over by Stan the Man. And we were out having a good time and just kind of popped down on Wendy.
Right by the Stan the Man?
Right by Stan the Man.
Statue.
Yep.
He's a big Cardinals fan?
He's a big Cardinals fan, yep.
You're from St. Louis?
We're both here from St. Louis. We go to lots of games. We take off work every year to go to the home opener.
Okay, who's your favorite Cardinal of all time?
Yadi or Molina.
Another Yadi, guys. It's almost an automatic now. So are you getting married at the park?
Not getting married at the park. We looked here, but being in November, you couldn't see the stadium anyways.
So, Mark, ask her why she believes everybody loves Yadi.
Why do you think everybody loves Yadi or Molina? Why is he your favorite?
He's just such a well-rounded person. He seems like he's good at the game. He knows his game. Seems like a good person.
You have a little bow around your neck. Why is that?
I just love bows. This is actually from my fiance.
From your fiance? What's your fiance's name?
His name is John.
By the way, John's last name, guys, is Gantner, and they are distant relatives of Jim Gantner.
The former Brewer.
Right, Brewer for a long time.
Very good player, too, with the Brewers.
What? The mother-in-law's who?
Dempsey?
Rick Dempsey. What about Rick Dempsey? Rick Dempsey is it's her cousin. How about that, George?
That's a baseball family.
Man.
That's why we're here at the park for a bachelorette party. It's all about the game.
I know.
The national pastime.
So did you get invited anymore?
Where's your reception going to be?
It's at the Missouri Athletic Club.
When's your wedding?
November 22nd.
Oh, I'm not going to be around. I would.
Shoot, you could have totally come.
See, there you go, guys.
Sure.
Could you and George come?
For sure, they could all come.
George, you're going to be back in the area?
Why not?
Yeah, you know.
You could all come to the party.
Maybe Jim Gantner will show up.
Yeah,
Sure.
sure.
Still couldn't hit a slider.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
You got one more wedding to see if you can get an invite to, Mark.
I could do one an inning up here.
Sounds that way.
I know. It's a place to be.
One out, Matt Holliday at the plate. Holliday a home run, a walk, and he hit a little squibber out in front of the plate and was thrown out by Rosario. Nicasio, fourth pitcher used tonight by Walt Weiss. Franklin Morales got the start. He went 4 innings, allowed 4 runs on 5 hits, pair of walks, pair of strikeouts.
28th appearance for Nicasio, working strictly out of the bullpen after the demotion back to AAA, where he started this bullpen journey, and he's back at it again. Short hop pick by Rosario, 2-1 count on Holliday.
Matt's home run earlier in the ball game was his 18th of the year. He's not hit fewer than 22 in a season since 2005, when he hit 19 with the Rockies, which was his second big league season. Went to high school with Art Brian Jones, who's head of the video department for the Rockies.
Same high school as Brett Anderson, just a few years earlier.
Popped up around the Cardinal dugout, but it's over the screen.
Follow every Rockies game 2 seasons in with MLB.com @bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your smartphone or tablet. Get replay reviews, scores, stats, audio, and a whole lot more. Download @bat on the App Store or visit Rockies.com/mobile today.
The 2-2 upcoming from Nicasio to Holliday. 3-2.
Asheville has done it. They've won the South Atlantic League now. 3 games to 2. They win tonight 4-1. Wade the winner. Tapia the home run. Mann was 1 for 3. Prime 2 for 4 in that game. Jordan Patterson was 2 for 4.
Correll Prime had a great year. Congratulations to Asheville.
Yeah,
they deserve to win it. They had an extraordinary season, second best record of any minor league baseball team.
Mark Burr, the new pitching coach there. Freddie Ocasio, the manager.
Freddie's been in the Rockies system for a long time, so congrats to Freddie as well. Holliday draws a 1-out walk in front of Johnny Peralta. Peralta's 1 for 3, single back in the first inning. Peralta, like Troy Tulowitzki, a rare bird in that They've brought power to the shortstop position. 20 home runs or more in a season 5 times for Peralta. Ian Desmond's that way. Ian Desmond with 22 home runs stole his 20th base earlier today. He's now been a 20-20 guy 3 times. Jimmy Rollins on that list. Jimmy's been a 30-30 guy. In fact, I'm going to have Dougie check. Wasn't Rollins back in his prime? Did he go like 30 and 50 one year?
Good question. That's for Doug to answer. Come on, Doug. What do you got?
He's working on it. 1-1 on Peralta, the former Tiger. He went 30 and 41 in 07. Who am I thinking of who went 30 and 50? Am I making that up? One and two. Peralta made a couple of American League All-Star teams, 2011 and last year. Many years with the Indians as well. DJ making the call and the catch. 2 outs.
Tulsa's put 2 on the board. They trail 6-2 now.
Matt Adams. Matt 0 for 3. Just turned 26 at the end of August. 23rd round pick in the 09 draft.
Turned himself into a great hitter. Got everyone's attention when he won Texas League Player of the Year. For home runs, average, RBIs.
He went to Slippery Rock in Pennsylvania's native state. He was a D2 All-American. Let's go back to that old adage in baseball. If you can play, they will find you.
Get the opportunity, take advantage of that opportunity. I think Pujols leaving the same time, them looking for a first baseman. He obviously had swung the bat well, and the rest is history.
Looking at his body, not surprisingly, he was a catcher originally. There's 2 guys in the 30-50 club. Name them, George.
Jose Canseco.
That's a great guess. No, Jose was in the 40-40 club for an original member. Two guys you've heard of.
Barry Bonds.
Barry did it in 1990. 33 jacks, 52 stolen bases with Jim Leyland's Pirates. That's one. This ball oh man, DJ, you just don't want to hit it near DJ LeMahieu. Another special pickup by DJ, his 3rd sparkler of the night. We'll go to the 8th inning. Rockies trailing 5-1. Boy, he's got great hands. Sports_RM on Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies taco special when the Rockies score 7 or more in a ball game. Rockies trailing right now 5-1 as we go to the 8th inning. And again, we return you to wedding parties.
Hey, I told you we could do one inning. This is the last one. Stacy, right?
Yes.
Stacy's got a jersey on. It's got her new last name to be Frazier on it. There
Stop.
it is. Yeah.
Oh, it's SCR.
I know.
That's
but
not. No,
I know it's not a Z, but I just had to say,
it.
George Frazier, who plays for the Cardinals, is one of our analysts, so different spelling. Did you get engaged at the ballpark?
No.
Did it have anything to do with the Cardinals?
No.
Are you getting married at the ballpark?
No.
Who's your favorite Cardinal?
Ooh.
Stumper.
Yadier Molina.
There it is, guys. The hat trick for Yachty.
It's unanimous.
I didn't set that up either. How about your husband-to-be, big Cardinals fan?
Yes, very much so.
Who would he say if I said, hey, who's your favorite Cardinal? Mr. Frazier.
Matt Holliday or Matt Adams, because his name is Matt.
Okay. So I delivered, guys. Another bride-to-be. Congratulations, Stacy.
Thank you.
When are you getting married?
October 24th.
All right. Have a great day.
Thank you.
It's right around the corner. She's got time to change her mind.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
Why don't you make like Tevier and see if you can set some people up? Brandon Barnes strikes out against Carlos Martinez on a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. First out in the 8th inning. Charlie Blackmon's 0 for 3. And Mike Matheny is now going to go take the baseball from Martinez, who goes an inning and a third. (5-1) St. Louis. By authority, the Colorado Rockies may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Colorado Rockies. Busch Stadium #2. Busch Stadium 2 is what the locals, well, I don't know if they call it that, but officially that's what it is. 5-1 Cardinals, 1 out in the 8th inning. Randy Choate, veteran left-hander, to face Charlie Blackmon. See if Mike Matheny continues to mix and match after this, because you have Kadire next. That would be odd, though. You have Dickerson beyond that. So,
well, he's got a right-hander going in the bullpen, but he also has a 4-run lead. Last night, with a 4-run lead, he pitched his closer. I laughed at Randy on the mound. He looked at the home plate umpire, Mark Colson. Can you blow in your hands? You can go to your mouth on the mound now. Yeah, you blow in your hands.
Well, you have to get permission, so it's not a balk. And anytime it's pretty cool, umpires will give you that right. You think it's kind of silly, huh?
I think it's real silly. If you can go to your, obviously go to your mouth while you're standing on the dirt, not touching the rubber. Obviously, you can blow some heat into your hand. Big sweeping slider, that's what he does. But Randy, that's just 2 outs.
Martinez went an inning and a third, a hit and a strikeout. Well, Michael Kadyr's been a bright spot tonight offensively. He has 3 line drive hits, the last being a line drive to right center that rolled to the wall for a double. They were all against Shelby Miller. Ground ball, smothered, and the throw is going to get Michael at first. So Carpenter robs Kadir of a 4-for-4 night. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Cardinals lead it 5-1. He's won with George Frazier and Mark Stout, the wedding planner. I'm Drew Goodman. Yadier Molina in the bottom of the 8th inning will lead things off, and Brooks Brown's aboard. Brooks Brown doesn't get spoken about quite as much because he hasn't been here the whole year like, say, a Tommy Kahnle. But Brooks Brown has made a nice impression.
Another tip of the cap to John Weil and the scouting staff that went out and signed Brooks Brown. 366 earned run average over 19 2/3 innings. He's only walked 5. I love the first batter efficiency at 86%, and opponent's average just 250. Sure, you know what tomorrow night is, don't you?
Sunday night.
Because this is very big on your list every year. It's the crowning of Miss America tomorrow night on Boardwalk.
Really?
If you're 3 boys, I'm sure you'll be glued to the TV to watch that.
Probably not. 1 ball, 1 strike on Molina. We're going to be flying when that's on.
Yes, we will be.
To third, and Arenado able to get a small piece of it. A base hit for Molina.
Second hit of the night for him. He had struck out and grounded out. John Jay, then Cosma to follow. Ball line drive. Hit to the left over here. One hopped right off the glove of Nolan. Nolan lost the balance. Looked like he stepped on that glove.
John Jay. Since the break, John Jay hitting .360, only Buster Posey a higher average. Said this earlier, there's a lot of folks with the Cardinals that think in some ways he would garner a lot of MVP votes on the team for how consistent he's been this year, and he was the least talked about guy in spring training, especially after the acquisition of Peter Borges from the Angels.
Amazing. Played 128 games. Hit over 300, driven in runs, and flawless defensively.
And that goes off a DJ, run to the bag, and the Rockies still get it out. Heads up play by Rutledge. And because it went off of LeMahieu, it'll be scored 4-6.
And a fielder's choice for Jay. Tough break, hit the ball hard. Nice job for DJ, but also a very good recovery. The Rutledge recognized what happened when the ball was hit that hard. Instead of going into the outfield, it flipped back to Rutledge, and then he beat Molina to the back. Molina kind of froze, then took off. Rutledge just beat him and got the out. Cosma's got a hit, a walk. He scored a run in the game. He's had a nice defensive play. Been on all 3 times, once in a fielder's choice situation.
They said that was a strike on Cosma.
Yeah, they checked the swing over at first base umpire Jeff Nelson, and he said absolutely. Sam Freeman, the left-hander, warming up down in the bullpen with the Rockies. Dickerson, Arenado, then Paulson, 2 or 3 left-handers.
Another check on John Jay. Fouled it off his leg. Foul ball. (5-1) St. Louis. Rockies have been out hit 9-6.
Hard sinker down and in. Caught the bottom of it. Right off the ball of the foot.
Backstop John Jay to second. Be a wild pitch.
Yeah, Willian's going to go out and make sure they're on the right path with signals here.
Let's check our CenturyLink link to what's next. Tomorrow's matchup, Jordan Lyles will have the baseball for the Rockies, his 20th start of the year, and Marco Gonzalez out of Rocky Mountain High School in Gonzaga, #1 pick just a year ago, the Cardinals, will make his 5th start. He's 2-2. He's pitched much better since his initial outing in Colorado. Rockies lost 5-1 yesterday. That's what they're down here. 2-2 count. Brown working to Pete Kozma. Michael Wacha was scheduled to go. Marco Gonzalez has been paired up. What I mean by that is his throwing days with Wacha, because Wacha coming off that shoulder injury, and now they want to give him more rest. Talking about Wacha. 3-2. Struck him out with a fastball at 95. 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th inning.
Good hard fastball, good location down under the hands. Calso will come on to pinch hit now. He's 9 for 41 with 5 RBIs as a pinch hitter this year. The Rockies not being able to put away innings in this ball game. All 5 runs in this game have come with 2 outs for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Strike on Daniel Descalso. Oh, you never answered the question, George. We went to commercial break. You got Barry Bonds 30 and 50 club.
I thought maybe you'd lost your piece of paper you had to answer on.
The other guy went to Crenshaw High School in Los Angeles, along with Darryl Strawberry. Played for a number of teams, had a great career.
Give up.
Eric Davis.
Oh, there you go.
1987, hit 37 home runs, stole 50 bases. Center field, and Blackman got a good jump. If he makes the catch, we'll go to the 9th inning. Rockies need a significant rally, down 5-1 as they were a night ago. Is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Without a heart, it's just a machine. And by the Colorado Department of Wildlife. Money generated from hunters and anglers creates jobs and protects wildlife. So give one a hug. Learn more at hugahunter.com. And also by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. Rockies trailing 5-1, 9th inning at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. We go west to Denver and our Root Sports studios. Jenny and Jeff. All right, Jenny, thank you. And in the 9th inning, the Rockies will have Dickerson, Arenado, and Paulson scheduled, but I see Drew Stubbs has a bat, so we're going to see Drew Stubbs pinch hit here for Dickerson with the left-hander on the mound. Sam Freeman is making his 37th appearance.
And a nice job what he has done this year. 216 earned run average, not many hits, very few home runs, just 2. He'll go after Drew Stubbs here as Dickerson takes a seat to allow Stubbs to swing the bat.
Fastball beneath the knees, ball 1. So the Rockies with just 1 run on 6 hits. It's really, it's mind-boggling. I don't know what other term to use, George. This is, the Rockies score 1 run or fewer here in this inning. It'll be 11 straight games on the road that they've scored 2 runs or less.
Hard to understand, and you know, again, Walt talked about it an awful lot prior to the ball game. He said, I'm not going to take guys out of what they do, and that is swing the bat, doubles, extra base hits, and start trying to bunt and run and trying to bunt guys over in the first inning, hit and run an awful lot to try to play small baseball. That's not what they do. There's got to be a better execution than putting hits together.
Now a 4-pitch walk to Stubbs.
It's not going to make Matheny very happy. Looks like Jason Mott or Nessick, two guys getting loose down in the bullpen. Yeah, it looks more like the right-hander, and he can bring it sidearm for Mike Matheny.
Nolan Arenado. Now, Pat Neshek is as good an eighth-inning guy in the game this year.
Neshek has the very good slider to go along with the fastball, 91 to 92, and a changeup. One of the better ones in the game against left-handers. Very unorthodox delivery from three-quarter low sidearm, but it's how he goes at you so quickly. Still able to maintain the velocity.
Freeman has yet to throw a strike. Still has 6 pitches out of the zone.
That has been his problem throughout his minor league career. He had harnessed it when he did this year. That's why he got to the big leagues.
Arenado fouls it off. The only other time a club in the history of baseball has gone 11 straight on the road not scoring more than 2 runs was the 1942 Boston Braves. That's within a single season, because the White Sox had a string of 12 straight, 27 into the 28 season. But you know, you're talking about a pre-war team. I just don't get it. That's a line drive, and the throw's not going to double up. Stubbs. Drew read it nicely. Nolan hit it hard, but Cosma made the catch. McBride is going to pinch hit for Paulson. And now Mike Matheny walking out. I didn't even think it was close.
I didn't either. You know, it's funny. Look at the umpires. They don't even look at a manager now. They just look into the dugout and wait for the bench coach to give thumb up, thumb down of what they're going to go do. I thought he got back in plenty of time. So did EY, but they're going to look at it.
Well, I will tell you this much. Watching that replay, it's closer than I thought it was.
Well, that's why Matheny, who's 9 of 16 now in replay challenges, is doing this now.
This manager's challenge is brought to you by Subaru's EyeSight Driver Assist Technology, a vigilant safety feature that gives peace of mind to every drive. There it is again.
See, I thought the hands on right underneath the foot of Adams. Out of 17 now.
ball, no strikes on Matt McBride.
Cardinals have already turned a double play late in this ball game. 5-4-3. So see, they're obviously trying to do that right now.
That's a fair ball down the line. McBride got that inside the bag. And he'll have a double. Going to third is Stubbs.
Well, all this kid does is hit, isn't he? Man, oh man.
That may force the hand of Mike Matheny. It does. He's on his way out.
Well, he's at a point where he didn't want to be. I mean, he's got a 4-run lead. Now all of a sudden you've got second and third and just one out.
Pat Neshek when we come back. Cardinals up 5-1. Rockies have 2 in scoring position with 1 out in the ninth. Share third base as soon as Pat Neshek gets done with his warm-up pitches, visiting with Stu Cole. Pat Neshek has been the 8th inning guy this year for the Cardinals, and in 61 innings he's allowed only 34 hits, 61 strikeouts, 7 walks.
He is to the Cardinals what Wade Davis is to Kansas City when it becomes the 8th inning. He's asked here in the 9th inning now to come in and get the final 2 outs of the inning. Just think, 7 walks, 61 strikeouts in 61 innings. Only 4 of the 34 hits given up in 61 innings have left the ballpark.
Line drive, base hit. Stubbs will come in, and McBride will stop at third on the RBI single by Rosario.
44 now for Orleans. Fastball down and away. Willeen stayed right on it, not intimidated by the low 3/4, and he has hit it to right field. Right by Cosma.
Rutledge tonight, 1 for 3. And Rutledge hits this ball to deep right field, and it is a foul ball.
Barely.
And that ball is going to stay fair. Holiday's going to make the catch. The Rockies will get their 3rd run. And if nothing else, that streak ends of scoring 2 runs or less in road games. As McBride scores, Rutledge's 29th RBI.
Both runs charged to Freeman. He's probably not going to be happy about that, but he didn't pitch very well. DJ LeMahieu will be called back. Michael McHenry will get an opportunity here.
And the reason being, McHenry with a lot more pop than DJ. Walt thinking one swing of the bat could tie it up, and he has a greater likelihood of receiving that from Mike McHenry. One ball, one strike.
He likes to live to the outer half of the plate. Very rarely will he come in, which is somewhat unusual for guys that throw underhand like he does and still maintain that velocity that you don't pitch in more. He likes to run the ball from the outer half of the plate back to the middle with some heavy sink, slider, and changeup.
And it's 3-1. Rafael Noah hoping for a chance. Crowd all standing. Most have stayed, some have left, thinking it was a foregone conclusion with a 5-1 ninth inning lead. Fouled off.
Rockies tie it up. Adam Ottavino's been throwing in their bullpen if you're wondering who's coming in next.
That is a fair ball down the line. And it hops into the seats, I believe, or maybe not. Rutledge is going to score. Excuse me, Rosario is going to score. And it's 5-4. Mike Matheny's going to come out and inquire of Jeff Nelson if that hit a fan. Did it skip over the stands?
Well, they're asking for the replay package to come out. There's a lot of stuff thrown around at it, I can tell you that. The guy was in the stands here that threw a
glove and a banner.
A glove and a banner out. Gretchen goes after it and tries to get the ball back in.
A glove and one of those pennants from the Cardinals Hall of Fame that Mark was showing off earlier. At the very least, the Rockies will have the tying run at second base. Now, did that hit inside the wall? Even if it didn't touch a fan, if that ball hit inside the wall, it's a ground rule double, and Rosario has to come back to third. Kid's getting a little more than he bargained for when he went to the game.
I think the ball was a little quick. I don't think anybody touched it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't think anybody touched it. Now, does this bounce hit the inside wall or the outside wall?
Oh, it went outside.
Okay, yeah, it's outside. So you know what? I think the run scores, and it's a 5-4 game.
Now, see right here. See if it hit on top of that ledge and then came back out. You know what it did?
So I don't think that's a ground rule double. I think that's all you can get.
He's talking to New York pretty heavy here, and I think it. I agree with our producer, Allison Beal. She said she thought it hit the pad and scooted.
What's interesting for me, you trust Neshek. They're saying that is a ground rule double. Listen, it doesn't matter that much. Now, the Rockies are going to get Culberson in there to run for McHenry. So McHenry a pinch double. Because the Rockies still need a hit to tie it up.
They do plate the scores. No, they do plate the run.
Oh, they did plate it. Oh, well, he pointed to third and second.
Right. I'm not sure what he was thinking about when he made that motion, but now you have the runner at second base, and Inoa will come on to pinch hit.
Did he not just point to third and second?
Yeah. And Culberson's come on to pinch run to add better speed now that McHenry came up with a big base hit.
Great job by McHenry.
Very interesting here.
And now it's Rafael Inoa to pinch hit, who swung the bat well. Inoa started last night and had a couple of hits. He was 2 for 4.
Nice job, Michael McHenry.
He's really had a nice season.
Where he utilizes the changeup to left-handed hitters. It's one of the better changeups in baseball. That one at 69 miles an hour, 21 below his normal velocity on his fastball.
The Rockies a 3-run ninth. They need a 4-run ninth to keep playing. 1-2. Outfield very shallow. In left with Holiday, and particularly in center with John Jay. Trying to cut that run down on a hit, and the changeup fouled off.
Nice job taking the fastball at 92. Keeping this at bat alive.
Good eye. 2-2. Center field and right at John Jay. That'll end it. Rockies gave the Cardinals a scare in the ninth with a 3-run rally, but they come up short. And St. Louis wins it 5-4. Shelby Miller gets the win. He's 10-9. Franklin Morales takes the loss. He's 6-8. Neshek gets his 6th save. Our Jimmy John's freaky fast delivery of the game. Well, it's the work of Shelby Miller. He continues on a roll. 6 innings. He gives up a run on 5 hits. Did not walk a batter. And he struck out 5. As Miller reaches double-digit victories in his sophomore season. Last year, he also was a double-digit winner in his first season in the big leagues. Again, the final score.